Yeah, so how was it in Norway? First time for your baby, seeing the
Mm-hmm.
family, right? How was it?
Yeah. Yeah, short and sweet. It was very awesome. Long needed break. Great travel overall. I feel very lucky with how he behaved during the whole car drive because I felt like it could be a lot worse, but he was exemplary. So no, it was an amazing trip. The fears I had that could be tough didn't really happen. So no, just a
Yeah,
just a great experience.
I'm preparing for a very similar experience. I'm going to go to Portugal on Monday,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to take the car too. Also, the first time with the kids.
A
My kids
short
are,
drive.
it's 2 days, and that's scaring me a little bit. Or maybe, no, wait, it's 2 overnight stays, so it's going to be 3 days in total.
Yeah.
And I'm a little bit scared, but my kids are also amazing in the car. They don't complain. They just listen to music. So I'm very curious to see.
They're a bit older now. I imagine
Yes,
that
they're
helps.
7. Yeah, they're 7. That definitely helps. They're going to start school in September. It's so hard to believe they're going to go to school, but that's why it is.
I can't wait. Okay.
Okay, you're good to go?
I'm good to go.
All right, hello there, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Majmour.
And I'm the Viper.
And this is episode 36 of the Town Center, your podcast dedicated to all things Age of Empires. In today's show, it feels like it was just yesterday that the Three Kingdoms DLC was released, and yet we now have official confirmation that another DLC will be released this year. In the professional scene, the LingYuan Cup qualifiers are now almost complete, and among the already qualified players, there are some maybe surprising names. Later in the show, we'll be joined by Red Phosphru and get to know more about the infamous Fast Castler. If you enjoy our show, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you prefer to listen to us on Spotify, don't forget to rate us 5 stars. All right, Orion, you have not been around for a long time, so
what's been happening?
Yeah, I wonder how much have you heard about new DLC, layoffs, and this kind of stuff. How much have you heard about it? Much, not much?
I heard that there were layoffs from Capture Age, the Chronicles team or something, like a couple of people from there. And the new patch I did a review of not too long ago, so I'm up to date there as well.
Okay, only thing I care about, I did listen a little bit to your review. One only thing I care about is how you feel about the change, the change I'm talking about, the one change everybody's talking about.
I know, like, I absolutely hate it. Organ guns were already so bad.
Oh,
and
okay,
now they got
that one, you will not get a dispute from me on that one. That's awful.
Yeah.
But obviously I was talking about the animals being shot by TCs and not spoiling.
No, I'm completely fine with it. I did elaborate a bit more on it on my stream, but in general, I think changes like this, I think it's unintuitive that the food just disappears when a military kill it, but when a villager uses a sword or a bow and arrow, then the food stays there. Obviously, it's a thing that people will not like if you play the game for 20 years, because you have to get used to this again now, or I finally managed to lure a boar without losing the will to the boar, or killing the boar with the town center, or things like that. There is some mastering to it as well. I know I've been listening to the podcast as well.
Amazing, beautiful.
Two people to replace me, I know, but
you listen to my little jokes too. Awesome.
Yeah, and I understand DauT and Dave's take on it, for example. But personally, I think if you're a new player, and we shouldn't cater completely to new players as well, right? Of course, we want Age of Empires to be accessible to everyone, but not completely to new players. But I think that change is so tiny. My only concern is that laming in general as a whole now seems to be kind of, I wouldn't say dead or gone, but it's not as strong as it it barely will be done anymore, I feel like. Because if you try to lame with a militia, for example, sure, you can lame and kill the chicken or whatever, but the food will just slowly go away. It won't be like instant gone. So probably the instant rush to kill a chicken will not be a thing anymore. And then we'll see laming in tournaments. I don't know. But yeah, I personally, no problems with that change.
Okay, interesting. A little bit of a different take from the pro players. Everybody seems to be against it.
You know what's shocking to me? MBL was so upset about the auto farm, but this apparently he's fine with.
It's no big deal.
Yeah, it's like...
the auto farm, that was such a long time ago. And people were exaggerating so much with that one. Yeah, I did want to talk about the Chronicles, and I have a ton of thoughts here. So please interrupt me if you have any questions about what I'm saying, because I'm going to be rambling otherwise. So just ask me questions, okay?
I'll just go to the bathroom and once I'm...
No, you're not going to go to the bathroom. You're going to sit tight. Okay, so let's start with the basics, okay? So on July 30th, Microsoft released a statement making sort of an assessment of how the year 2025 has been so far, and they were very self-congratulatory, I want to say. So apparently we hit a new milestone of 65 million players, all games combined. And I do wonder what percentage of that is mobile. 60%, 70%, something like that.
I think it's that much.
I don't know. I just know that mobile's got to eclipse every other
also,
game.
we don't know exactly how they're counting it. Are they saying we had 20 million players this year? Is that what they're saying?
I think so.
Okay.
Because they're hailing it as a record. So that means it's more than last year. Or do they mean total? Well, it's a good question, actually. And no, otherwise it wouldn't make sense because every single time would be a record. Right? If you're just adding up, it would be a record.
But still, you're not going to announce, oh, hey, we reached 17.274 million players. But 20 million is like a significant number, so it makes sense.
Oh, that's what you mean? Oh, could be. Oof, true. Could be. I don't know. I interpret it as just being this year, that amount of people have played the game. That's how I interpreted it. But it might be. You might be very, very right, to be fair. And again, I very much assume a large percentage of that's going to be Age of Empires Mobile. But what matters most to us here in the Age of Empires 2 community is that it has now been officially confirmed the next DLC will be released this year, and it was heavily implied it will be the second chapter of the Chronicles game mode. And now, at the same time, you already said you heard about it, there were a couple of posts, I saw at least 3, that layoffs at Capture Age were hurting a couple of people, and you saw a couple of level designers, if I'm not mistaken, were laid off. Again, this would be an indication that this is probably the last chapter of the Chronicles 2, so there's no point keeping these people around if if the project is not going to keep going, it's not going to move forward anymore. Then there were a couple of people saying that Chronicles was actually supposed to be a trilogy. I confirmed that was actually never officially claimed, and the only thing that was said was that Chronicles was going to be a multi-part DLC, and 2 parts is technically multi-part. It was never officially confirmed that it was supposed to be a trilogy. So the person who said this either has inside information, which we do not have, or they just misremembered. In the same statement, there was something claimed as well that very much confirms what we talked about here before, that the Three Kingdoms DLC sold like crazy. Okay, so I'm going to quote it to you. In May, we welcomed new players on PlayStation 5, launched the fastest selling Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition expansion to date, the Three Kingdoms. End quote.
The wording there, though, is like the fastest selling versus best selling, right?
Yes. Okay, I'm going to explain what that maybe means, because of course that's the thing that everybody was discussing, what exactly this fastest selling means. So I asked around and they clarified to me that fastest selling just means most sales in a specific time frame.
Okay.
So I don't know what the specific time frame is. It could be like from the moment it was announced until now. It could be like the first month of sales.
So
it could
the
be
same time frame as the 20 million, or?
Yeah, I don't know. In any case, what they're saying is that for that one first specific time window that they consider, which I don't know what it is, could be 1 month, 4 weeks, I don't know what it is. The Three Kingdoms has sold the most copies, and apparently by far. Now, I think they're calling it fast selling and not best selling because there's probably other DLCs that have sold more, but they've been around for much longer.
Yeah.
And they've gone through a lot of sales. So again, I'm interpreting this to mean that if things keep the pace, if the pace of sales continues, Three Kingdoms might become the best sold DLC, which again, I think was always going to be the case just by virtue of the fact that it was released on PlayStation 5. Now, this is obviously no surprise to the Town Center audience. We spoke about this in episode 31st. By the way, I also confirmed, because in their analysis that we had in that episode, I also said that according to the numbers, Return of Rome was one of the other DLCs that sold like crazy. And I've confirmed it with people in the know. Let's just put it like that. And it's interesting because I don't know what feeling you had about this, but my perception before I started looking at the numbers was that this DLC completely flopped. We didn't see like a boom of Vietnamese players. I thought, the ladder wasn't like busy or anything of the sorts. But that's apparently not the case whatsoever. It was sold like crazy apparently too.
Yeah, but Age of Empires, as we know, single player game. And
also interesting, Return of Rome also has pretty bad reviews, which is a thing that the Three Kingdoms also has. And you could start wondering whether there's like some sort of correlation to that, but I'm not going to do it because I don't know too much about that. Now, there's a second part of the analysis, though, and this, from now on, speculation begins,
Okay.
From here on, speculation begins. Because there's two parts to that analysis. On one hand, you have the DLCs that sold very well, and you have the DLCs that sold not as well. And one way to look at that is that from DE's whole life cycle, there are two DLCs that have not been able to reach the top 100 of the Steam sellers, top 100 sellers list. One of them was The Victors and Vanquished, and the other one was Chronicles Chapter 1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, which again would seem to indicate that it didn't sell as well as the other DLCs, though, of course, there needs to be a clarification here, which whether a DLC is successful, I guess also always depends on what were the expectations going into it. So if it could be the case, or I don't know, it could be the case that Microsoft goes like, so Capture Age, this is the first DLC that they're making, so we cannot set the bar as high as we're setting it for Forgotten Empires, for example, who's been making DLCs for 10, 12 years. So that's possible.
Could also just be coincidence, right? You never know the surrounding factors of time when it was released, what else is released at the same time, and so forth.
That's a point that a lot of people made when we released the episode 31, and that's true, but I just think when the difference between placements is this big, so that you have a DLC that does not make it to the top 100, and you have all the other DLCs making it to 30, 40, 50, I believe that the difference is too big in order for, the other games that are being released to play a role. That would be my interpretation, but could be definitely true. So here's where the, in my opinion, interesting discussion could start in the community. So you have, on one hand, you have a Three Kingdoms DLC that is sold like crazy, but has pretty bad reviews. And, has a big portion of the player base is displeased and not happy with it. And on the other hand, you have a Chronicles DLC that was universally praised, I want to say. The voice acting was amazing. The storytelling was crazy. It was funny. Level design, very creative. I don't know. I can only say good things about it. I'm someone who never plays campaigns. I watched it on Ornlu's YouTube's channel, and I loved watching it. I was always waiting for the next chapter. So I believe it was universally praised in the community, but it did not sell as well. So if you ask Microsoft what they prefer, I think it's pretty clear they want the product that sells more. So I think it's up to us in the community to try to figure out, first, why did it potentially not sell as well as the other DLCs? And second, what can we do? Is there something that we can do to make sure that the second chapter is going to do better? And that's where I want to hear your take on this. You played Chronicles Chapter 1.
I have not completed it, though.
I wanted to say, okay, you didn't complete, so maybe that's the good place to begin. Was there something, I don't think, again, in terms of quality, I don't think there's anything that you could say that is lacking. So assuming all of this is correct, what do you feel was missing, potentially, from the Chronicles first chapter?
I honestly wouldn't say there's anything missing. I'm obviously still more of a multiplayer guy than a single-player guy. And I know, as with a lot of things with me, it's like at one point, if I play a single-player game, I lose interest or just move on to play multiplayer again, and then sometimes come back to it again. That is my plan with this, for example. I can't. It was, like you said, very creative. The levels were cool. The design was cool. The voice acting was funny, as you said. I think it was universally praised for a reason. But I can't tell you anything that I feel like, this was missing that to be even better. So
okay. I can give you two things that come to mind. I don't know if they're accurate. Two things that come to mind. Maybe too different. We're all old. We like routine. And, they sold the DLC on the idea that it's actually Age of Empires 2 with different names and tiny little differences. But maybe the different names are already too much, for the old. Maybe it's just too much difference, too much stuff that's different, maybe.
I can see that argument. Also, the whole water was completely overhauled, right? So it was very hard for me as well. What did this ship do again? That ship, and that ship. You have to really set yourself into it and try to remember everything, and then also forget everything from the original water meta or the way water units work. So yeah, I could see that. Also, suddenly we had oysters, where you can fish gold, things like that. Yeah, there's definitely a potential argument there that it is too different. So I can see that one.
Yeah, I could see just, we're old. We like routine.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah. Well, yes, indeed, I'm a little bit older than you. Okay, and the last one, which I think you can't ignore. Victors and Vanquished. Again, assuming our analysis is correct here. Both DLCs did not have a multiplayer release. Again, Chronicles, you in theory can play on ladder games, can play with the civs against other people, but there's not a ranked ladder. So maybe, despite being the minority, the multiplayer scene does play a role in promoting, maybe bigger of a role than I ever expected, and maybe Microsoft even expects in promoting the game. This one, again, is very speculative, but could be the reason. And one thing that I think is interesting is that they are bringing a lot of changes to the civs that are already there. If you read the patch notes, there are a lot of changes, and a lot of people were speculating that they might be including the Chronicle DLCs in Age of Empires 2 proper, I call ranked. I don't see that coming. Yeah, you're shaking your head. I don't see that coming.
Yeah. That's where we definitely can say that's going to be too different. If you suddenly introduce those civs to the ranked, yeah. We already have, I don't even know how many civs we have at the moment. And if you're going to add 50, yeah. 50, if you're going to add, how many is it, like 3? From the
they
Chronicles?
have 3, possibly another 3 coming, if I had to guess.
If they are going to be like completely different as well to the first 50, now, like we already have kind of the gap and the differences between civs have been widened over the last couple of years. But this one looks like you throw it all like way further over there. So yeah, I feel like introducing that to ranked will be a bad idea. First of all, very hard to balance. Secondly,
I agree.
A lot of people will be confused. What am I facing here? This ship shoots fires. My fire ships don't act like this,
Yeah, even though the idea could sound fun for a couple of games, I don't see that happening. Yeah. And someone had a very good point, which is a lot of the bonuses that the Chronicles civs have already exist in Age of Empires 2 for other civs, so it would be repeating bonuses, which usually never happens. You have very similar bonus, but not really identical bonuses. What I think might be the case is that they're going to have a split ranked ladder only for Chronicle civs, and if you have now like 6 or 7, maybe replacing the Empire Wars ladder, which nobody fucking uses anyway. I could see that happening. But you're shaking your head as well. So
how many people would play that still? People that are into multiplayer are people like me, more likely. And I don't think I would ever play that because that will be...
But why not?
Because it's irrelevant to the bigger picture.
Okay.
It is like, okay, if you're into weird game, like then you might as well play like a mod, right? Of course, it's always different when it's officially represented within the game itself, right? But yeah, it's the same as like you can put Deathmatch there, Empire Wars, whatever. No one is going to play the other thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Older player base, doing too many things that are different, it's always tough. What if there was a tournament? I don't know, 10K, 15K? Would you give a crack or... No chance.
I'm sure I would play it, but like it's not something. Again, it's like you're not gonna throw a pile of money just to have one thing and then like, okay, let's move on to the next thing. Because like after the one tournament, I am sure it would not be the biggest success viewership wise and whatnot, and it would just be a one tournament.
Think so? Even though if it's right around the release, you don't see it having decent viewer numbers.
I also don't think like if like it's questionable if I would play, and then you ask would Hera, Leary, would these guys play? No, I don't think so.
Too much stuff to learn, right? It's just too many bonuses.
It's not even just about that. It's too much to learn. It's just you don't have interest in learning it because there's no longer play there, right? It's like these are some gimmicky, weird civs in a weird game mode. Empire Wars is at least still we play Age of Empires 2 the way we know it, and there was like backed by like Red Bull, right? So that's a big difference, right? If Microsoft just hey, we're gonna have a $5,000, $10,000 tournament. Which like we're spoiled, obviously, since we're saying like 5,000-10,000 can't be bothered to play this. No, again, it's just too different. I can't see myself being interested in playing a ladder with 6-7 completely different civs just for the sake of it. When there's only if they kill off the other game mode, which I don't think they would.
I don't think that's likely to happen. In any case, just to finish things off here, I think if the community values Chronicles, they definitely need to support it by buying it. Telling friends about it, maybe making content about it, play it on stream, whatever. That would be my suggestion to people who might be interested in this. Okay, so then I'd like to move on to the LingYuan Cup. As we're recording this, the second and last qualifier for the LingYuan Cup is still ongoing. And just to refresh people's memory, the LingYuan Cup will be a LAN tournament played live in Beijing, China, from October 22nd till the 26th. So it's only like a 5-day tournament. And I'll put the Linkwipedia link in the description box. In the first qualifier, unfortunately, none of our players were not invited, were able to make it. TaToH lost in the round. TaToH lost in the final round to an incredibly well-prepared Nikov. DauT lost in the round of 24 to Mihai. And this is the second time in recent memory that Mihai stops DauT in his tracks. I know folks are going to remember the first time is in Warlords 4, infamously.
Kind of stopped him twice even. I know DauT gave admin win after the... Well, actually, he indirectly stopped him in Warlords, right?
Well, he stopped himself, basically. Yeah, he was leading to the 2-1, but 2-1 automatically kept him out at the next stage, so he just...
what was the other qualifier again? Where
Mihai... Well, this one. That was the second time. So
yeah, but what was the first one, I mean?
It was not a qualifier. It was just in Warlords 4.
Yeah, but he also beat him in another qualifier before that. May have been NAC even. I guarantee you. I remember because the decided game was 4 legs. DauT had Georgians against something, and it was like supposedly free win, but DauT managed to mess it up. So it's the third time.
Okay, so it's actually the third time. Okay, there you go. Mihai, a little bit of the gatekeeper for DauT recently.
The final boss for DauT.
The final boss of DauT. The other players who qualified in the first qualifier were ACCM and Hart, and Hera and Viper are directly invited to the LAN, so they don't need to play the qualifiers. So I want to focus a little bit here on Nikov. Last LAN for Nikov was NAC 4. He obviously did qualify for Red Bull Legacy, but you remember why he didn't make it? Was it because of COVID? I believe it was because he got COVID right before. I don't know if was he already at the airport or something like that. I think he was about to actually board the plane, or maybe I'm just making up scenarios in my mind to make it more dramatic. But I seem to remember he was already planning to go, and then unfortunately got COVID. Was then replaced by Kingston. But a crazy performance by Nikov. I was actually casting that game with DauT, and folks are interested can go back and listen to that. And DauT was very, very impressed. And Nikov has been around for such a long time. It's also an interesting thing here for me, which you almost feel like, or you're almost hoping that the new talent are the ones who are going to be more successful in tournaments. But it keeps being folks like Nikov, ACCM, who are still making it. So like the old schoolers making a comeback in Age of Empires 2.
I hope so, because I'm old school myself, you know. So,
yeah, you could include yourself there.
I think people in general, like if you're more of the modern audience, you don't realize how good, or maybe you don't know how good Nikov is. And he has had a frequent, let's say historically, frequently ran into some of the top seeds, often in early rounds in tournaments. I think I've played Nikov a lot in tournaments in general. Where I've also have talked about this on stream so many times, where I think people don't realize how good Nikov is. And I mean, he's in great shape now. I think he's ranked 1 on the ladder even right now.
He plays a lot of ladder, yeah.
Yeah, he also got 3rd place, I believe, in the tournament that was happening while I was in Norway. And he also beat Hera in another tournament not too long ago. So Nikov has already shown, obviously not only in the past, but also recently, that he can be so good. And I mean, it shows again now. And I'm very happy for him. It's always good to see him perform. And he's obviously also a great guy on top of that. So yeah. It's obviously sad that it's on the cost of TaToH's potential chances there, but so is life.
Yeah, TaToH obviously has got a second chance to qualify, and he started the second qualifier in a pretty difficult spot. Again, we were also casting that game, the three of us, and he just barely beats Jordan, which means for Jordan, obviously, he's now out. He doesn't have a chance to qualify, so you're obviously very friendly with Jordan. So how is he feeling about the whole thing? Was that a big disappointment for him, or is he feeling fine? How was it?
I honestly have not talked to him about it at all.
Okay.
I feel like I'd rather just let him be when it comes to defeat like that. Also, I mean, like TaToH against Jordan first round of a qualifier is like,
it's crazy.
That feels wrong. But obviously with Jordan having his comebacks, it means his seed isn't where it should be, and therefore you have situations like this. I mean, but Jordan was up 2-0. And being up 2-0 against TaToH is also an achievement in itself. So I think if Jordan probably was very disappointed right after the games, but I'm sure he's like realizing as well in hindsight. Yeah, 2-3 against TaToH, not so bad. So, but obviously I would have loved to have both of them there. Now I just gotta hope that TaToH goes all the way.
TaToH's been playing too much of their games, man.
Satisfactory, man. He's been streaming it like 3 weeks almost.
He finished it. I saw a Twitter post. Apparently it's finished. I don't understand those types of games. I didn't even know he can finish a game like that. Apparently it's finished. He completed it. But then I saw the next game. The next day he was streaming another random game that had nothing to do with
Which
Age of
one?
Empires 2. Man, I don't know what the name of it was. I don't know. What was not Age of Empires 2? That's the point. So he finished one game that's not Age of Empires 2. Doesn't that play a role? I mean, again, I don't want to shame anybody into doing anything they don't want to do, just to be clear. But he was streaming it a lot. Wouldn't that time be better spent practicing Age of Empires 2?
Yes.
Okay.
But also you need sometimes to freshen your mind and just get a little bit of a break from the game.
I guess he's practicing in the back, behind the scenes, right? Just not streaming it.
Yeah, he is training, right? Yeah, I mean, it doesn't hurt to take some breaks if you're still playing behind, right? You don't have to grind it. Like him playing 4 hours of Feudal Void or Rage Forest is not going to increase his level, but him actually training behind the scenes is going to increase his level. So I don't think the satisfactory streams are like hurting him in any way. If anything, maybe it's a bonus that he gets a little bit more break from Age of Empires.
Interesting. Okay, so DauT, apparently he was sick in the first qualifier.
He's sick now as well, so
is he still feeling sick?
Well, you saw when we casted with him.
Well, yeah, it was 2 days ago, so I hope he's feeling better. But yeah, he's sick quite often, I gotta say. Quite often.
There was one qualifier where he started taking antibiotics precautionally in case, just so he wouldn't get sick.
That's very weird. So who prescribed it? Because
Serbia.
Okay, so you just paid a doctor to do that for
apparently the guy working at the pharmacy was like some neighbor or someone that he knew. So
that's
he started taking antibiotics just to like preemptively.
And antibiotics are not supposed to work against viruses, which most likely
I don't see the logic in what he did completely, but
he would just wanted.
It's just an example of how sick, like how many times he has been, in quotes, screwed over by getting sick at an important time.
Just do some exercise. He needs to just do some exercise. And does he still smoke?
Shisha, yes. Okay, I don't think he smokes nearly as much as before, though. So there's at least one thing.
Shisha has nicotine too, right? You mix it with nicotine.
It could be without as well. It's like flavored smoking, right? You don't need to have nicotine, but most people do. And I imagine DauT does.
Feel dumb talking about a grown man's health history. He can do whatever he wants, but
DauT is one of those guys that lives the most unhealthy life ever, but he's still going to outlive all of us.
Probably.
It's just one of those things.
Okay, so he's going to face Draken. We're very much expecting him, I hope, to make it. And then Saturday, it's the big day. So assuming that DauT does make it versus Draken, both TaToH and DauT hopefully will be playing 2 rounds. And then on Sunday, the final round of the whole qualifier is going to be taking place. We hope to see. They're in 2 separate brackets, if I'm not mistaken. They're in separate brackets, yeah. TaToH and DauT. So in theory, they could both qualify. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'll get to cast it again. We're not entirely sure.
Aren't you on holidays yourself?
Yeah, we're gonna go on Monday. We're gonna drive to Portugal on Monday. So on Sunday, in theory, I still have the time to do it.
Who needs to pack?
Well, yeah. Well, I'm almost not allowed to pack because my wife, she has like a system, and I'll break the system. I would, put the system completely upside down, and I'm not allowed to do it, which I'm not complaining.
Yeah, I only pack my own things as well.
Yeah, I'm not complaining. And I'm going to get to drive the whole 3 days, so I deserve a bit of a break before. Okay, Orton, before we get Red Fossery in here, a quick shout out to the Quintessential Cookout.
Oh, yeah.
The Quintessential Cookout. So that's going to be a tournament organized and sponsored by Gamer Legion. It's going to be happening from September 15th to the 21st. I believe only like the last 3 days are going to be broadcast. Everything else is going to be like people are free to play whenever they want, right? Yeah. If I'm not mistaken.
Free scheduling, essentially.
Free scheduling. Top 16 players are going to make it. 4 invited players, and guess who they are?
DauT got invited to something.
DauT got invited. So did Viper, TaToH, and Hera. So the Gamer Legion players. And I think there's like a pre-round where 24 people or something are going to get the chance to qualify. 24 people, 12 people qualify, plus invited players makes it top 16. Signups close August 27th. So if some of the people who are interested in participating are listening to this, be fast. You still have a lot of time.
Sure, there will be a link in the description or something, right?
There will be a link in the description box. Thank you for reminding me. And a little tease. People really need to tune into the stream because some things are maybe going to be revealed and there might be some interesting things for the viewers there. So again, just write down the date on your calendars, my friends. From the 19th to the 21st, everything's going to be streamed. Write it down. Be there. It's going to be awesome. So we're going to prepare our call with Red Phosphor, and you guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right, everybody, we're back, and we're now joined by Red Phosphor. He's the AoE2 dev's most feared foe, one of the most creative players in recent memory, and you might know him from one of the countless videos featuring him on T90's channel. Red Phosphor, thank you so much for taking the time, and welcome to the Town Center.
Thanks for having me, you guys.
Absolutely. Listen, this is 7:30 for you, if I'm not mistaken. Well, what are you doing up so early, young man?
I mean, you gotta comport your schedules around, the little one. I know my sister has a kid, and she turns her life over just for his schedule.
Yeah, so if you don't mind me asking, what do you do for a living? A lot of people know you as the great player that you are, but not many people know more about
Fast Castles is the answer.
Fast Castles.
Yeah, Fast Castles, that's what I do. No, I mean, it's kind of similar. I mean, I build houses, I build orders, I build strats, so they're kind of similar. I built this guy that's behind me right here.
Cool, there you go. So you like building things. I like
building things. That was the through line.
Yeah, so I listened to your interview with with our friends over the Start the Game Already podcast that you gave. I think it was in December, so it was like 8 months ago. You said back then that you're sort of a new player, so you've been playing for like 2-3 years or something like that, but you've been watching Age of Empires 2 for a long time. So I do wonder, what was your Age of Empires 2 diet like? Did you watch streams? Did you watch YouTube videos? So how did you engage with the game back then?
That's easy. One word, just Huang. And I just watched Huang on T90.
That explains a lot, I have to be honest.
Was it like a point where you got the virus and you were like, okay, now I do want to play the game. I've been watching it for such a long time. And if there was, what made you start playing the game?
It was honestly, I never thought I would play. I just enjoyed watching forever. And then a friend of mine was just like, I'm gonna play some. You should play with me. And I'm like, that sounds terrible, because I come from like first person shooters. That's what I played for most of my life. So RTS sounded very scary to me, because I've never considered myself good at multitasking or anything like that. So yeah, he just roped me into it, and I gave it a shot, and then I kept playing and kept doing Mimi strats, and somehow I got to 2K5. I don't know the points between those two lines.
How do you even begin to like come across all these bugs and these things you figure out? Like, do you sit for hours and hours and just try different things, and then things?
I always say it like I enjoy it. Playing's fun, but I just see myself as like a builder. I just like discovering things, building strats, I spend a lot of time in the editor. And like, I'll see something in a game, right? You'll see something strange. Maybe it's like a pathing thing or some units stack on each other. And then I just, have a recording of that. I just try to replicate it in an editor. And I just grind a couple times and try to figure out. And you always just assume that it's possible. And you got to use some, combination of whatever stances or formations to get there.
Is there anything you have figured out that you haven't revealed to the public yet?
Actually, I'm working on a video right now, and I sent a challenge to Beery and MBL, because those were like the two guys that came up for laming. It's a laming tech that I'm gonna release it in like a week, and I think it might change the laming meta like a lot. I don't want to spoil anything. I can't tell you what it is yet.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. I'm already dying to see it.
If you want to take the challenge, Viper, you can. I can send it to you. Basically, you're just trying to get the boar as far as you can when there's an enemy scout right-clicked on you. That's it.
Can I do it on stream, or does it have to be off stream?
It doesn't matter. You can do it on stream, off stream. It's nice if there's a reaction for the intro. But other than that, that's... Yeah,
you can shoot it my way.
You can try it. Yeah, see how many tiles you can get.
Okay, that sounds interesting. Sounds funny, but I do wonder, so do you go off the patch notes? So when you see that the dev said, I changed this, we changed that, do you go off that and go like, okay, so if they change this, does it mean I can try this or I can try that? Or you just try random stuff and see what kind of bugs pop out?
I mean, maybe in the past, a long time ago, I'd just try random stuff, but no. I feel like now I've fairly like strong intuitions about what will be strong and not, and like we could talk about fast castles theory, but there are like types of units that are really strong. Like, for example, I knew the War Chariot before it got released would be one of my best FCs. Like, even before I touched it, just looking at its stats, looking at its train time, things like that, I was like, this is going to be an extremely strong unit because it has the stats of like an elite organ gun. So like, and it produces on like a 27 or something. Like, how could that not be good?
Do you look at the same time at civ bonuses or just that the unit specifically? Or do you also, okay, this together with the shoe, 10% food income for wood and so forth?
Yeah, no, the unit's much more important. So
Okay.
like next patch, Magyars will probably be a pretty solid FC, even though they have no FC bonuses, just because of that unit.
Okay.
But I mean,
Magyars.
The Magyar
Magyar
Hussar?
Hussar, it's getting buffed a lot, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
No. I would just say Magyars is, I think it's like a B tier. I have a tier list of FCs. It's like a B tier right now. It's not a bad FC. You know, it's a gold heavy unit.
Okay.
It costs about the same as a Gulam. So we can just go all on gold, and it's really fast. I mean, it's basically a much better knight. Like, that's how I see a Magyar. It's like a Karambit-tized knight.
When you say you have a tier list, fast castle tier list, you mean fast castle, drop a castle and go full unique unit?
Yeah, or, you know, Romans are on that tier list for their
Or
scorpions,
some unique unit of that civ. Or like, yes, unique bonus. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
We should have had MBL as a guest at the same time here.
I know.
Yeah, well, we're going to come to MBL for sure. That's a particular family interaction between you guys. But one thing I'd be curious to know is that when I first saw the first strategy that I remember for you was the organ gun, so the fast castle organ guns. And I remember thinking,
Rip.
and I don't know, rip, and I don't know if I just created this scenario in my mind or whether I actually said this explicitly, but the feeling that I got was that you're trying to prove that fast castles are broken, particularly with civs like the Portuguese. So first of all, is that true? You feel like the strategy in itself is broken? And second of all, is that still the case, or are things better now?
So I've like since, I don't know if you'd call it tempered my stance, but I feel like I have a much more nuanced view. So I think fast castles, like for example, I think hands down Bengalis are like the best civ on Arabia, purely because of the fast castle. Like that's easy for me to say. So I still have a lot of faith in them, but I have realized after like coaching high level players that it's kind of like a runner and a swimmer. So all the meta players are runners, and I'm a swimmer. You know, these strategies or running and swimming are very different, and they actually don't share a lot of skills that overlap. Like, you could be an amazing runner, and if you pick up a fast castle for the first time, you're going to be really, you know, if you try swimming for the first time, you're going to be really terrible at it. You're going to try, you know, running into the water instead of, you know, diving in or whatever. All your intuitions will be backwards. And the same when I try to play meta, I'm at like 1700. You know, so I have terrible running intuitions. I just try to swim on land, which doesn't work. Yeah, I've recently learned they're just two different things, and I really think that fast castles are extremely strong, but you need to, you know, learn how to swim before you can do them at all. Like if Viper tried one of my fast castles tomorrow, he might be able to do it. But it would his execution honestly would be at like a fairly low level. I'm not trying to say that as a bad thing to Viper or anything. I'm sure he's a pretty good player, I've heard. But it's just a different thing. So that's how I describe it now.
Really good analogy, first of all. But it's
thanks.
the same like with Huang with the Celt Rush, right? People tried it, but they don't do it the same way he did it. Yeah, I mean, like I once this fast food strategy stuff became popular, I did obviously mess around a bit on my stream as well, doing some YOLO fast castles, and honestly with pretty good success.
Oh, nice.
But I always felt like I would beat this myself if I was against this, you know. And that's the feeling I got whenever I tried this. But then again, you have sometimes like when like if you get a okay fast castle with war wagons or anything crazy like that, it's obviously insanely strong. So I do get where you're coming from in terms of you feel like this fast castle unique unit and such can be incredibly powerful. It can in the right circumstances, but I'm also still more in the boat of like you should be able to deal with it still as a runner.
Yeah, I will say when I see pros attempt, you know, a fast castle, it looks really, really, to me, it looks really, really rough. Like it's quite a low, like I said, a low level of execution. They're trying to run in the water, and that is not what you do in the water. You swim. So I definitely believe that you would beat yourself, if you could clone yourself and play one guy FC. But I would argue that if that guy that you cloned spent like a month playing FC, I think he'd beat you every time. That's my argument. But if you don't spend a month, you're going to be drowning. Nothing's going to make sense.
Okay, so do you see that as a good thing for the game? That there's something that is still to be explored and, the pro players are potentially sleeping on? Or do you really feel like that's something that it's broken? And if everybody learns how to swim properly or how to run properly and how to play the strategy properly, that suddenly the game looks completely different?
Yeah, that's a hard question. So I think I'll go with what I've said before, which is not enough people are doing it for us to know the answer to that question. Like the devs, if you look in the patch notes, they're certainly worried about the things that I'm doing, like whether it be Janissaries and Rams, or Siege Tower Gebetto, or Hussites, or Ratha, any of these things. They seem nervous about it, just because they keep nerfing the strats. But I think we honestly need more data before people go down that route, because there's really just there's me, and Huang doesn't really play the same way I play, and he often plays feudal. Now at modern, Huang plays a lot of feudal. So I'm not sure we have the data points to answer that yet.
Yo, send me some of your builds and I'll play them for a week.
Okay.
I'll see how it goes.
Okay. How technical do you want? Because I got technical guides that it will take you like, I don't know, a little while to get through. Does that sound good?
Well, depends how long is a technical guy going to take.
Man, I see so much potential for content here. I mean, you guys could get together and do some streams, Phosphor Coach is vibrant.
It would be cool to see if there's some... like I said, I played some fast castles and it feels very good at times, but obviously it falls on its face flat sometimes as well. So, but I would be definitely interested to try to explore it a bit more for sure.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll definitely. That sounds like fun.
Okay, so this feels like the perfect time to actually bring in the MBL discussion. So I don't know how much you follow this, Orion, but I've saw 3 videos. I don't know if there have been more, which was MBL coaching a 2K2 player to beat Phosphor with a meta strat. So that was specifically the goal of the coaching. So MBL was supposed to coach a 2K2 player, and he could not pretend like he knew that Phosphor was going to go for a fast castle. He needs to act like he didn't know, so he made units in Feudal Age. So it's supposed to ideally mimic a real game situation. And so what happened was, in the first 2 games, Phosphor beats the guy that MBL was coaching, but then it turns out the guy who was coaching was only a Michi player, I'll say. So he couldn't micro very well, he was overwhelmed very easily. On the 3rd try, MBL gets a real Arabia 2K2 player, I'll say, and the guy beats Phosphor. So we know how MBL feels about the whole thing. Obviously, he thinks he's proven his point. Red Phosphor strategy can be beaten with normal meta strats. I didn't hear your response to that, so this is your chance. Did MBL prove his point?
Yeah, I will just say, MB came into my stream, we started chatting, and we set up this challenge, and MB said, if one guy you beat my guy 5 times in a row and I beat you once, I win. Like, that was the joke. That's why after every game we both say this proves nothing, because neither of us will take the L. But no, I think that's honestly a good showing of that strat. Like, I think that's a fair approach that MBL takes. Make like 3 scouts and then just macro and go to the next stage. Totally fair. I will just say, it doesn't really work in my games. Like, when I fight normal players, by the way, Emo Warrior, the guy who beat me, he beats me all the time. Like, my elo hovers around 2K3, Emo Warrior is 2K2. That's just a competitive matchup in the first place. Like, we're not terribly different. Obviously, if I have like Shu or something, then I can play at like a 2K5 level. So it's really FC dependent, like what my elo is. Like, I play FC Samurai, and that only goes to like 2K150. But FC Shu goes to 2K5. I think that that is a totally fair approach, and is sometimes scary to do the kind of the macro approach. But I really don't feel like if there were 2 the there was like me or Viper and a clone of Viper, I think the clone of Viper would win every single time. I'm entirely convinced of that.
No. Oh, okay. So what's your point? That the only reason the guy beat you is just normal variance, or is it because MBL was coaching him? Because if I understand you correctly, you think that your strat is superior. So
Absolutely.
why? Okay.
Yeah.
So is it just because he was is it just because he was being coached by MBL?
Oh yeah, MBL's coaching I'm sure helped, although I don't think it helped with Human Warrior. Having MBL in your ear could probably be seen as a negative, not a positive. Calm down.
But it's obviously civ dependent for sure. I'm not sure what you guys did. Was it random civ or?
No, it wasn't. It was Bengalis versus Vikings. Bengalis is definitely one of my best strats.
Vikings should be a fairly good counter to the Bengalis, though. I feel like.
Sure, yeah. That was definitely an intentional counter pick. But no, the main thing I'd say is that's just normal variance. And I will just say this: if you've watched my games versus pro players, like have you seen the game versus Andy the other day on T90's channel?
I have not known.
Oh, okay. I think I had like 20 Grenadiers, 3 Mangonels, 36 Vills. Andy had 1 Mangonel, 20 Vills. I lost that game. I don't really fight super well when I know eyes are on me. My hands get extremely shaky. This is true whether it's MBL coaching someone or MBL fighting MBL himself. Like I lose games that many people would say are like unlosable. Like I was talking with Dragonstar the other day. I had this game versus MB. Same situation. I had like 36 Vills. He had 30. I had 17 army. He had 2. His were 2 feudal scouts. Mine were 17 war chariots. That's a game I lost. Like MBL will look at that. I could even send you the VOD if you want to show it right now. But MBL will look at that and say like, yeah, this strat will never work. I look at that and say I'm in an amazing spot. Like Dragonstar, who's one of my friends, says like you should never lose from this position. But I'm really not. I am truly a 1700, and when I fight with a lot of eyes on me, and when I fight MBL, I really feel like I don't play very well. And he also out-micros me. I mean, just plain and simple, he's a better player. But I think the strongest argument for the strength of strategies is the fact that MBL is getting tilted when fighting a 1700. There's no other strategy in the game that could get you to that state. I'm 100% certain of it.
I think that's a fair statement.
I'm not accustomed to fighting pro play. I'm not MBL's played however many tourneys. He's been on the ropes. He's had a lot of eyes on him. I really don't perform well. Actually, I just recently, like last week, modded my stream so I can't even see names anymore or chat messages. I don't even know who I'm playing because this was such a big problem for me. When I thought I was playing MBL or a lot of people were watching me, I just didn't like my performance. So I modded it, so I don't even know if I'm fighting a big name anymore.
But how do you then deal with the fact that, I mean, when people face you, they know what's coming. So everyone plays blind, hard blind counter, essentially.
Yeah. Well, how do I deal with that? You got to hard blind counter them back. So like,
but do you ever then just decide, okay, I'm just going to open scouts?
Viper, you gotta remember what level of play I can open scouts.
Okay.
People really forget that analogy. I really only know how to swim. I promise.
Yeah,
if you put me on land, I'll wobble around and then fall over. Like I'm unaccustomed to walking. Like people get very surprised about this. But I was playing like a Rage Force game last night for like the first time ever.
Welcome.
And how come?
Welcome, I said.
Oh yeah,
Welcome.
yeah. Oh yeah. And like they were upset about the teams because I was, 2K on my 2K5 account, and they're like, this is bad balance. And my APM was like 10, and I was just staring at the screen like I was in Imp. I don't know what to do in Imp. I am very confused, staring at the screen like making 3 elephants and then looking back. I really do play at an extremely low level when I have to play meta. Just like when people play my strategies, I think they play at a really low level. Anyway, that's
that's an incredibly interesting point, which leads me to the question: do you have tournament ambitions? Do you see yourself at some point trying, to expand your repertoire of strategies and being able to play those more meta strategies and maybe compete in tournaments? Is that something that you aspire to, or not at all?
Yeah, I don't know. So I've played, like I said, the only reason I know I'm 1700 is because I played an alt to like 1700. That was me trying my hardest, and that was really difficult for me to get to that elo. 1700 is terrifying for me. And so I know that it would take me a really long time. And I also just in that experience, I didn't have much fun. Like I didn't really enjoy it. I played probably like 70 games to get to that elo. And I didn't really enjoy it. And I quickly went back to, going FC Samurai on people. Because that's a blast for me. And playing scouts is mostly confusing. I don't really get it. And tournaments in general, I don't have ambitions for, just because like last time I ever played a tournament, like so I was versus TaToH. He beat me on draft. It was like 3 water maps in a closed map, and then I got 1, enclosed. And I grit my teeth, and I got through all the closed maps because I lose instantly on those. And the water maps, I lose instantly on those. And then I got to enclosed, and TaToH just counter fast castled me. And I'm like, okay, I can't do anything here. Like all my strength has been taken away. Anyway, so no, I'm not really that interested in tournaments either. Getting my own strats thrown back in my face I can only take it for so long.
But do you follow tournaments a little bit and try to learn something?
Yeah, I follow tournaments, and I will just say like a ton of these FCs are super amazing on open style maps. So I like coach. I probably shouldn't say what players I coach, but I coach players on anti-meta strategies on open style maps.
Are we talking
I love
about
doing that. Like I say, I love building things. That's my favorite thing to do.
Wait, are we talking about players that everybody knows?
Yes.
Yeah. That's interesting.
I can't tell you though. They wouldn't want me to tell you.
Tell us.
No, it's fine. You don't have to. I'm just wondering.
I mean, this one's old, but like Stone Please did, the Bengali thing on, I forget what map it was in TTL. But by the way, he lost. And that kind of goes to my argument. I've never coached someone who's played more than like 8 games of the strategy. So like they'll do like 8 practice games, and they'll be like, great, I can FC now on an open map. And that is not how it works. If I played 8 games of meta, I wouldn't be able to play at 2K5 level. That's not how it works. You need to dedicate some time. I'd say like at least, I don't know, to be really exceptional, probably at least a couple weeks of just playing anti-meta and learning the flow chart. Anyway, so I haven't seen anyone who's really been committed. I think the most committed player I saw was like Neoz, who did it recently. But even Neoz doesn't really play anti-meta that much on the ladder.
Do you find the games that you do watch, you still enjoy watching them, even though they're not using the kind of strategies that you like to play? Or how is it for you? If you're not seeing these crazy anti-meta strategies, you just don't enjoy watching the game as much?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll kind of just skip through, like, is there going to be an all-in push? No. Okay, next one. I guess I'm weird, but no, I just like anti-meta play mostly.
The coming days when I'm streaming, I'll do some just pure fast castle, fast freestyle. And then after that, you can send me some of your builds, and I can try to adapt a bit.
You want to struggle a little first.
I want to see first how I do it just intuitively, right?
Okay.
And then afterwards we can see. Because since you're saying that if you don't follow your builds or you get guided, and that you think we're executing on a low level, obviously in quotes, low level. So let's see if there's like, I do it, and then you find like tons of improvements for me.
Obviously, eventually you'd be playing a really good fast castle. No one gave me a build order, but it just takes a lot of time. But yeah, I'm very curious to see it.
Okay, Phosphor, we see you stream from time to time, not really that much. Is that something you're planning to do more frequently, potentially more streams? I mean, people complain about your mods. Have those, I gotta say, I agree, unfortunately, those, is it, flat mods or whatever, it's fairly hard to look at your stream. But you're planning to do more of that, maybe, because you have something so unique to offer.
I don't know. Streaming is pretty fun. Sometimes it gets tiring. I feel like the amount of blindness goes up when I stream too. People play pretty, bare knuckle versus me, which is like why I have to develop laming techniques and things like that, because, I'm forced to. So I only have so much fun playing that hardball. And then it gets a little repetitive. So yeah, I'll continue to stream probably at the same amount that I am, maybe a little bit more. Depends on how much fun the unique units are. I really don't play, like, I don't log on and play 20 games of Bengalis. I usually just bounce around on really fun things that I think of as really fun, like Samurai and Magyar Hussar and all these meme units. I love playing Siege Tower and Infantry. Looking forward to that change. And then once I get bored of that, then I go off or switch to another strat.
So before we let you go, remind me, so your next big project here is going to be that YouTube video that you were about to release about the laming, I believe you said it was.
Viper can get in on it. You can be in the intro, Viper. Try to get that. I'll send you the challenge video that I sent to MBL and Beery.
Okay, when can people check for that video? Is that going to be next week? Or when is it going to be on?
It's whenever freaking MBL gets back to me. But I don't know.
Give it a couple of months, maybe.
Yeah, I'll give it a couple months. So no, this one's going to come out in like 5 days probably.
5 days. Okay. Listen, Phosphru, awesome hearing a little bit more about you, knowing how you think about the game. It was great. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here.
Yeah.
And I'm very curious to see that challenge.
I have to wait a little while, but thank you. Thank you for having me on.
For sure. And if you guys enjoyed the podcast, you know what you have to do. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And we're going to be back in roughly 2 weeks. See you then.